So I've kind of come to the understanding that the ones that are uploaded to the internet for me doing the Eden train wreck aren't the full story. And I'm gonna have to ask you guys to apologize, but this is what my hair is doing today, and I don't have the clothes to do Ethel right. I'm gonna ask those of actual Irish persuasion not to mock my accent, because it's terrible. But this is the accent Ethel gave me. I can't tell you my name. My name's been lost to time. But here's what I can tell you. I'm 38, and to my mother's ever dying shame, I'm a spinster. So she decided that I was going to become one of those mail order brides. So she took me to Galway, and we signed up with the agency. 6 weeks later, I get a letter, postmarked Pueblo, Colorado. I could barely even pronounce the words. From a Mr. James Thompson. He was a widower. He had 7 children, and he needed help. I reckon he was right. So I gather me belongings, and in Galway I get on a boat to begin my journey west. I didn't know then how far west really was. But headed west nonetheless. In New York City, I got off the boat, and to board a train. And there people live stacked on top of each other. Don't understand that. The conductor said that we'd go west again. West is a long ways. We went through the Appalachians, and I heard a lot of Scots accents, and some like me own. Then we went through Kansas, and I'm gonna need someone to explain Kansas to me. The conductor, he woke me up as I went into Colorado from Kansas, and he said, "Those are the Rockies." I'm not gonna lie, I started to get nervous, but I'm Irish. We don't back down from fights. As I got off the train, I was met with an ocean of top hats and bonnets, skirts and long coats. And off to the side, there's this tall beanpole of a man. I reckon if he'd have turned sideways, he'd have disappeared behind a tree. Now, women will tell you that there's a look men will give you, and when they give you that look, it means trouble. So, you get off, and I go meet this man. And Mr. Thompson was Mr. Thompson. He's just a man. But he had his Emma with him. 13. Headed back east in the fall to go to finishing school. Now, man, there are certain things that a 13-year-old cannot tell her dad. But she told me. Six hours after meeting this man, I became his wife. We stayed in Denver for a few days. And at 5 o'clock, August 7th, 1904, we boarded the train to head south. It was pitch black at 5 o'clock. Mr. Thompson said this is unusual. In Colorado Springs, you couldn't see it, but Mr. Thompson pointed out Pikes Peak, and he said, Mrs. Thompson, you'll drink your coffee in the morning on your porch, and you can see that mountain. And I said, we'll have tea. I reckon the first Mrs. Thompson raised him right, because he goes, yes, dear. Emma said that if I'm going to become a proper Western woman, I've got to learn to have a snowball fight. And there was 4 feet of snow on the platform that day. So, I'm not going to say which one of us knocked Mr. Thompson's hat off, but she had black hair, not red. When I was on the ship, there was times we'd hit waves and we'd crest up and fall down and our belly would kind of turn over. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. But that's what happened as we're crossing the bridge, and it gave way. Now, we were in the second car because Mr. Thompson was big on the railways. And as we hit the bridge fell out from underneath us, and I grabbed Emma, and Mr. Thompson grabbed me and held tight. The icy water ripped us out into the waves. A tree hit us. And I never saw my Emma again in this life. Saw Mr. Thompson once. His head bobbed and then he was gone too. Now our conductor, our engineer, the guy driving, he said that they called him the Swiss because you could set your clock by when he would get to a station. Not a minute before, not a minute left. And we were due at the depot at 5 minutes past 8. So at 8:15, and then 8:25, and then finally 8:30 happened. The station master said, come on lads, we better go north because I don't know what we're going to find. Now us ghosts, we like a wee gossip. And some of them tell me that they were found as far away as La Junta. And others say that they've never been found. Here's what I can tell you. There was 136 people aboard that train, and 111 of us never left. It was regarded as the worst train tragedy in the world, and was for a very long time. Now, newspapers across the world reported of this, and in every single one of them, the other women were named. There was a Margaret and a Mary and Elizabeth and an Annie. And in every single one of them, they were Mr. Edward Smith, Annie, in parentheses, in all of those gloriously grand newspapers. I am just Mrs. James Thompson. But there was one newspaper, and it comes back to me now. It was a tiny newspaper with just a single editor and a single writer from a tiny mountain town in Colorado called Durango. And their newspaper, the Herald, they named me. I am Mrs. James Thompson, and my name is Ethel, and I hope you never forget me.